Hello and welcome to Mr. E's Watch Reviews. Today we're going to be discussing and comparing the Ocean Rover 2 and the Sugess Seaman. Basically, one of the viewers asked for this, and honestly, I can say that these are two of my favorite watches. The Sugess is my favorite AliExpress brand. Their Submariner Homage is probably one of the best ones that they offer on AliExpress. The only other one that I would kind of say gets real close to this would be the Chronos. The San Martin ones are very, very nice, but like the Chronos and the Sugess are much more Rolex-like. Both of these watches have the same kind of glide lock system. Like there's a very cheap type one, and when you pull it down, this will hang straight down, and like the sliding mechanism is very stiff and rigid. These ones here, it works just like a Rolex, and it feels very, very smooth and glides very nice. Now, as you can see by the amount of scratches that are on this watch and what you will see on the Jeanneau, you will tell that these are two of my most worn watches. The biggest difference between these two, because especially like on paper, they're very similar. The Sugess has sapphire crystal. This does have some AR coating on it. It's not to the level of the Jeanneau though. Like as you can see with like my light above there, like you can see it, but yeah, like I said, it's just even the lights on it, you know what I mean? But at any rate, the anti-reflective coating is noticeable, especially in the daytime. The Jeanneau is slightly easier to read. Another thing that you can definitely tell is the size of the indices here. The Jeanneau indices are larger. They are also iridium plated and hand set. Like John and Charles make these dials by hand, or assemble them by hand. Another thing I really like about the Jeanneau is like that red seconds hand. Again, it just stands out a lot better than like the black or the silver one that they use here on the Seaman from Sugess. One thing I really do like about the Sugess is I prefer this color blue over this darker navy blue. The darker navy blue does pop and looks a lot lighter in the daylight, but it may be my imagination, but over time, this looks like it has darkened up some. I probably need to scrub it and everything like that, but like this has always been a very dark blue to me. But like I look in some of my pictures, and especially in the daylight, it looks more like this one. But between the two, I prefer this shade of blue. So, what's one of the other big differences? The Jeanneau is styled after the old 4-digit and 5-digit Rolex cases. So you see how much slimmer the lugs are here. That really does make a difference in the comfort. Like both of these watches are very comfortable to wear. And again, this is kind of an ignorance is bliss kind of thing. If you only own the Sugess, you will know no difference. And if you have bigger than a 7-inch wrist, you probably won't notice that much of a difference. But if you happen to have this one, it does wear much better. Now the other thing I really like about the Jeanneau over the Sugess is the sword hands. I'm just a sword hands kind of guy. But again, back to the bracelet, the Jeanneau has the very same kind of glide lock system. Now, somebody was asking about the bracelets, the Jeanneau bracelets, and again, these are very, like, it's been used heavily. The Jeanneau bracelet has just a little bit less wiggle jiggle in it. Like, you see what I'm saying? both of these watches, like the Janot is older than this one, but even right out the box, this one had more wiggle to it. So I know Janot sources the bracelets from Asia. Are they coming from the same factory? It's very, very possible. However, it seems that Janot is making them make it tighter. Because even like when you try to like look at the links here, you can just see a little bit more gap on this one. It's not a lot, but like when I'm looking through it, not through the camera, but looking through it, like I can see my finger into the gaps here. So, but again, super, super close. Now this is running the Seagull movement. That is, I don't remember the model number. I want to say it's like an ST 1901. But basically it's, their version of the SW200. So in that sense, they're kind of running the same movements, not exactly, because the Janot has a genuine Swiss made SW200. And like that's the other big thing is that this one has been regulated by John and Charles before it goes out. 6 different positions, or like it's either 6 positions in 5 weeks or 5 positions over 6 weeks. I always get that shit screwed up. Where this one is just assembled and sent out. So let's stick them on the Timegrapher and see what we got. All right, we're starting off with a Janot. Okay, so the Janot looks like it is running -2 with little to no beat error and very good amplitude. Again, I've actually been wearing this watch for the last half of the week at the shop for the last 4 or 5 days. The amounts do fluctuate up and down a little bit because we went up to -4, now we're back to -1. But either way, very, very accurate, very, very respectable. All right, let's stick the other one on there. Oops. And of course, the friggin' heater is going to turn on. It's just that time of year, you guys. I'm sorry. I'm out in the garage. It's cold. So we're going to put the Sugess on now. But yeah, on paper, these two are just very, very comparable. Ceramic bezels, sapphire glass, glide lock bracelet, 316 steel. Now again, this one here, not regulated. The amplitude's a little bit lower. I may have needed to wind it up just a little bit more. But either way, it's running exceptionally well. Like I said, we got the high beat movement. It's running right around 0 to +4 is what I'm getting. So again, although not specifically regulated, that Seagull movement runs exceptionally well. The winding on it is also very, very smooth, like very buttery smooth. So different, but the same. But you know what I'm saying? You can't argue with these results. You know what I'm saying? So, like, again, this isn't to be funny, but the question is the Janot worth all the extra money? And in my opinion, yes, it is. But in all honesty, can you get a super smooth, badass watch from AliExpress? The answer there is also yes. So this watch, if I remember correctly, I paid just under $300. The Ocean Rover 2 currently, I believe, is listing out at around $1,800 with the Dayton Cyclops. Now, the other couple of big differences here is like the bezel action. The bezel action on the Jeanneau is the best in the market. I mean, it is just absolutely buttery smooth. There is like the only other watch that I can even slightly compare to the bezel action on the Jeanneau or the Jeanneau bezel action or whatever is the modern Rolex Submariner. I mean, the older Submariners don't feel like this. You know what I'm saying? The only other watch that I have ever felt that feels like this is a brand new Submariner. Now, the bezel action on the Sugess, I mean, it's very nice. And it's smooth. And it is pretty buttery. But again, it's not as good. Like I said, again, this goes back to the whole ignorance is bliss thing. Now, one thing I have noticed on the Sugess, it looks like it might be just a tiny bit off the pip. Because it seems like every 2 rotations, it'll be just off just a little bit. Yeah, because you see, like, now it's off the other side. Now it should line back up on this one. Again, I don't know why that is. It does not make any sense. See, on the third one, it lines up better. I don't know why. I can't explain that. That doesn't make any sense to me. It should line up the same every time as far as I understand it. But for whatever reason, that's what we're getting. But yeah, I mean, this watch is excellent. And if you own only this watch, you will not be really missing out. You won't know no better is the best way I can put it. This is the best option here. You know what I'm saying? And again, you're really getting that $2,000 level of quality in the watch. Like I said, for me, the big things is, the inky black dial, the slightly bigger indices, the buttery ass smooth bezel, and that the watch was made for me specifically. Those are the things that carry a shit ton of weight for me. Again, if this one's case was more like this one, it would be this one. You know what I'm saying? Like, because, the amount of money and I mean the accuracy and everything else. And like I said, y'all can see this watch has been through the shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it has seen massive action. It gets worn to the shop and it gets beat on. So as far as its quality level, it's definitely up there. And I mean, they do make it a really hard argument to go ahead and get the Jeanneau. Now, the Lume on the Jeanneau is significantly better. The Lume on this is very nice. It is bright. It lasts a good while, but like an hour and a half, 2 hours max. After that, you're not going to be able to see it. Whereas the Jeanneau, I'll charge it up really good right before I go to bed. And just for time frame reference, I usually go to bed around like 9:30, 10. I wake up at 5, and it's ever so faint, but I can read the Jeanneau at 5 o'clock in the morning. You get what I'm saying? So, again, there's like multiple layers of, lume that's been applied here and done by hand. The indices are done with precious metals, and again, by hand to like the highest degree of quality. So like there's a whole different level of finishing and whatnot that you're paying for this, and expertise. Again, some of these parts are also made, like the case, the bezel, the case back. They're all machined here in the United States. So again, that costs more. So, there is that. You know what I mean? Now, as far as like the side profiles go, You can see the Jeanneau is much slimmer. Both of these are called 40 millimeters, but this is really a 39.5 millimeter case. This one is more of a true 40 millimeter, and like the bezel overhang is minimal here. So, you know, again, when it comes to like grippage and all that stuff, whoops, sorry. The Ocean Rover 2 really outshines here because, like I said, the bezel is actually 40. So this overhangs by like 0.25 millimeter all the way around. Really does make it fit nice. And again, you know, like I said, both of these is basically got the same style clasp and everything else. And, you know, I would probably lay dollars to donuts. These probably both came out of the same factory. But again, like just seeing them on wrist, like this feels good. It feels really good. But like you see how that's just a little chunkier on my wrist. Now we'll slide it on over. Like this feels better. You see what I'm saying? Like you see how that just kind of tapers down better to the bracelet here, like that. It does. It does make a difference. But again, if I didn't have this one and I didn't know any better, then they're like, you know what I mean? Like the only reason why I know is because I have both, and I've been able to, you know, obviously wear and feel and blah blah blah. So, is there a difference? Yes. Is it $1,500 worth? You got to decide for yourself. I would say yes. It's definitely worth the extra $1,500. But with that being said, some of y'all, you don't want to spend that kind of money. Don't want to spend that kind of money. Then this is the answer. You know, again, be careful because Sugess does sell an NH35A version of this. Then they got this one. This one is the more expensive of those two. I obviously am strongly recommending you get the Seagull movement version. Do not get the NH35A version. My buddy Duncan did a comparison. I believe he used Chronos, but Chronos, again, they have a high beat version and they have an NH35A version. There was a huge difference in quality between the NH35A and their PT5000. And I don't mean just in the movement. I mean in the watch overall. Basically, when they put the higher beat, more expensive movements in, the bezel action is better, the dial is better, the bracelet is better. Like they upgraded all the way around. It's the best way I can compare it or explain it would be like the difference between a Rolex Submariner 5512 and a 5513. One is chronometer certified and made better. You know, the 5513 was essentially the same watch, but they cut a few corners and didn't certify things and stuff like that. You know, so essentially the same, yes, but different. So at any rate, like I said, you know, just please understand, you know, don't go get the NH35A version. And they'd be like, oh man, the bracelet's a little more jangly or this or that. And again, if you don't have the two, you're not going to probably notice. But I'm telling you, there is a difference between them. Whenever you have the choice, always go with the higher beat movement version. They typically have gone further with the quality control because they know you're willing to pay more for the movement. You're expecting a higher quality overall product. So that's my suggestion there. Now, another thing, and again, I know a lot of y'all, and I mean, I'm not like anti NH35A. It's not exactly my favorite movement in the world. I understand people really love it because they're cheap and easy to replace and stuff like that. But the issue for me is like my buddy over at La Terrain, Dave, he just got like a batch of 60 in, and 20 of them were bad right out the box. The other 40 had to be regulated and fiddled with in order to make them acceptable. So please keep that in mind when y'all are getting stuff. The NH35A is not really a be-all, end-all movement. It's okay, but it's used a lot because it is cheap and somewhat reliable. So basically, if you get 100 and you have to throw out 30 of them, they were so cheap, it doesn't really make a shit. Do you guys yourselves a favor. Like I said, get you to either a PT 5000 movement or this ST. And again, I may be wrong on this, but I want to say it's the ST 1901. They're clones of the SW200, and the SW200 is a true workhorse powerhouse. So, anyway, I really appreciate y'all's time. Y'all have a good day. Happy New Year and all that good stuff. And please join the memberships and also like and subscribe. I really need to get all my subscribers back. YouTube took a bunch of them from me. So, help me fight back. Subscribe. All right. Thank y'all. Have a great day. Bye.